Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. You know, when it comes to putting together a wardrobe, I'm about as challenged as they come. I've got comfort down, no problem. But when it comes to combining that with style, I am completely clueless. No one has ever accused me of being a slave to fashion. In fact, if they made Granimals for adults, I would be the first in line. So if you are as fashion challenged as I am, or even not nearly as much as I am, well, today's show is for you because my guest is Hollywood stylist Dina Cerchione. She's been making people look great on and off camera for over 25 years with shows such as America's Got Talent, Deal or No Deal, and Beat Shazam. Her styling finesses refine the look of thousands, celebs and real people alike. So today she's here to share some of that fashion magic with us, and hopefully some of it will rub off on me. Dina, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to meet you and nice to be here.
Well, I gotta say, this is if you ask my wife, I'm in need of this terribly. I always joke that I just can't wait till I get to that age where I can just put on the green jumpsuit and not care anymore.
Just make sure it's a well-fitted one.
Well, hey, if you can somehow make it to where that's a fashion statement, then we just may have something there. So what I want to talk about is a lot of people, struggle with this. One, they think, well, sure, it looks great on the mannequin, but it won't look great on me. There's so many different obstacles. So I guess what I'd like to kick off right now is, what are some of those biggest misconceptions that you see that people have about being able to dress with style? But they're kind of creating these own obstacles in their minds.
I think, there's kind of a handful that I see over and over again. One of the things that you kind of touched on there is, they see it on the mannequin, but think, that's not for me or that's not something I can wear. And, I feel like if it's something you like and it's something you're drawn to, then you should absolutely try. There's a reason for that, right? We have all our own insecurities, and that's why you're thinking it's for somebody else. But there's something in it that you're drawn to. And I think, and I feel, and when I work with people, we kind of take that and look at it. And maybe, if it's some sort of slinky, something that maybe doesn't work for your body type, but you like it's the color that you like, or you like the fabric that it is. There's ways of figuring out what it is you're drawn to that's not necessarily the exact thing on the mannequin, but gets you that feeling that's on the mannequin. And then, so there's that whole self-deprecating thing. I can't do that. I can't wear that. So that's one of the fears and misconceptions. And I think another one is a lot of people think it takes a lot of money to reinvent yourself, which it can. If you have a lot of money and you want to spend a lot of money, it can. But there are absolutely ways that you can rework your wardrobe, pull pieces that you have, and then create and build a wardrobe going forward where you can really be mindful about how you're doing it. And that's what I really preach. I do think you should be mindful. I don't think you should have closets overflowing with stuff you don't use. I'm a big believer in building on basics, a basic foundation. And this goes for men and for women. When I'm working on a show, like if I'm, working with a host or something, even on things like that, I have their basic things. Like I can always put them in this black pants, or I can use that blazer, or we can use this top and mix and match things a bunch of ways. So it's not that when you want to recreate your style, you have to really go out and buy a whole new wardrobe. I mean, unless you want to. But there's ways around that. And part of what I like to do is teach people how to rework things that they have and blend in some new pieces and style things in different ways so that you can wear, one thing multiple places. It's just a matter of the way, what you put with it, how you accessorize it, and things like that.
Well, I think, regardless of the mindset, I think a big fear people have is that there's a lot of room for error when it comes into this. So I kind of think about two camps of people. One, there's the person that, they lack the confidence. I can't wear that, or, that's just not my look. I think that looks great. I'd love to be able to pull that off, but it's just not my look. And then there's people that maybe are the brave, and you see them, like I'm in the Houston area, and, the Galleria is like the big kind of high end mall. And you'll see people that are trying so hard to look like mannequins, but they look so uncomfortable
right.
in those clothes. So what is the trick for having a happy medium of getting out of your own way and not grabbing that same baggy shirt and pair of pants that you always do, but also not sacrificing comfort for trying to look like that mannequin?
Right. Well, and I think you did hit on it well. Comfort for sure is a factor that you want to address. I think one of the things is when you start with the basics in terms of what is going to work for you, you really have to know and understand what works on your body. And, kind of once you figure that out, and it's not hard, there's plenty of places online, how to dress right for my body type and things like that. That's something that I teach people all the time. Then you can find out within that, you can look at things and go, well, that's great. It won't work on me because that's not the shape that I wear, but that's sort of a style or a trend or a vibe that I can pull from. I think that a lot of time people get stuck in a rut, and that's why they're afraid to try something new, and they think, oh, that's not me, or that's not my style. Again, like we said before, they're drawn to something, but they think that they can't pull it off. And I say, just try it. Just try it. It's really just clothes. You don't have to go and buy it. You don't have to go spend, but just try it. The only way you're going to break free from that is actually experimenting. And your closet is really like a living, breathing entity. It has to, as we evolve, it has to evolve with us, And sometimes when people are trying too hard, when you see those people in the mall and stuff, it's like they're just trying to look like somebody that they're not. So it doesn't really work for them. It doesn't work for their lifestyle. Which is a big component in dressing the part. What does your life look like? My life doesn't look like a lady who lunches, In my life, I'm a busy working mom, I'm in my 50s and I work in fashion. And so I want to look stylish, but I also don't want to look like a 20-year-old, And I think that there's this kind of fine line where you have to know who you are and know what you want to represent and then put that out there. You have to think about it a little bit. But I feel like sometimes women, not sometimes, a lot of women, especially in this sort of middle-aged group that we're in, we put ourselves on the back burner and we get stuck in a rut because you just get used to it. You're taking care of everybody else. You're taking care of the kids. You're taking care of your family. You're taking care of a husband. You're taking care of maybe elderly parents. Or, maybe you're going through a shift in your life where it's, you were in a relationship, but now you're not, you're going through a divorce or you're going back out there. All of these things get you stuck. And then you think, well, how do I get out of it? And lots of times people just get overwhelmed and think, well, I'm just going to kind of stay here. Or they don't really think about it. They're just used to not thinking about themselves. And it doesn't one of the things, again, when I work in TV, I meet people with all the contestants that I work with that think, oh, that's not me, or I could never do that. And I have no barriers on them. I just see a person, and I don't think that's your style, that's your thing. You can't do that. And when I work with people, I always take that into consideration. What do you do? What's your life like? How do you want to feel? But I don't put a box around them like they do, And so I think it's just really for people to, if they're trying to do it on their own, just really start to try different things, try different things that you're drawn to, like start paying attention to other women that you see or men that you see that have a style that you like, and maybe just start to play with it. It's not something that can't be learned, and it's not something that should be scary. Again, you can try it on, and you don't even have to go to a store, right? You can order it in your house in the comfort of your own home and look at it. And it's not something that has to take a long time. It's just something you have to just really play with, and see what works for you and what doesn't work for you and what you're comfortable in once you get there. It's stylish people are stylish because they work at it. They think about it when they get dressed every day. They don't just go, oh, I'm just going to put on that again. It's important to them, and it's a way of self-care. And you have to, it takes a little effort, but it doesn't take so much effort that it's not accomplishable,
One thing that about you that really struck me, and it may seem inconsequential to you, but to me, I read somewhere where you said that personal style is more important than fashion. And,
yeah.
You talk about that, changing your look or really, making almost a makeover. It doesn't necessarily mean putting on a costume. It can be using what you already wear, but it's about, maybe adding to that you get that look. Can you go a little bit deeper in that? Because that just that statement, personal style is more important than fashion. I think, if you can lay that out, I think that can be a really big aha moment for a lot of people.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to that thing, and to break down what that notion means, fashion is what, the designers and the stores put out now it's more times a year with fast fashion, 5-7 times a year. And they're in the business of fashion. They're going to keep creating and pushing stuff out for you to consume and to buy and trends and things like that, because it's a business. It is not just there for whatever. It's a business. Personal style is when you know who you are and you know what looks good and you know what makes you feel good and you feel like yourself. You don't feel like you're wearing a costume. And again, it goes back to, building on what works for you. I like to have a core closet for people of things that you can mix and match. And personal style is, for me, there's certain things that I always wear. I always have a cuff bracelet on, or I always have certain necklace on or something like that. That can take anything and make it personal, right? Because I'm always wearing it and people see me and they're like, oh, here it is. Or, like if you think of like Anna Wintour and her sunglasses or something like that, she always has it. It's a certain shape she always wears. And whether it's like in fashion of the moment, on trend or not, she's always going to be seen in that. Or there's certain things I'm always going to be seen in, whether it's, on trend or not. And that's where personal style comes in. It really is something where every time you see somebody, they don't look like a different person. They look like maybe another version of themselves, a dressed up version or a dressed down version, but they really look like themselves and their own personal essence shines through. They don't look like, again, it goes back to that person you're saying at the mall. They look like they're trying too hard or And what happens is sometimes when people fall, fashion victims and they're paying too much attention to the fashion versus the personal style of it, they end up with this closet full of stuff. And then they're like, it creates an anxiety because none of it works together. It's not fluid. It's like, who am I going to be today? And that causes stress in my world. My thing is you should be able to walk to your closet, have it look great, and be able to get dressed anywhere you need to go without thinking, oh, I need to go buy something new. It's really building on those classic pieces that work for you.
Yeah. Well, that's to me, when I see someone, regardless of what they're wearing, if they look comfortable in it, I think that's almost 80% of what makes me think they look good, because you do see people with some really nice clothes, but they don't look comfortable. And it could just be today's styles that I'm maybe outside of, the hip stuff, but some of it, it's like, man, that just looks too tight. And I don't mean too tight in the sense of, me being prude. It looks too tight in the sense that just doesn't look comfortable to move in. Right.
Right.
And so, maybe you talk a little bit about that style, because you almost hit on it. Are there any tricks for someone like me to where they almost could be as mindlessly or simple as that Granimal system, where you talked about putting together a wardrobe? Someone should have their closet, to where you could go in there and kind of grab, this top and not have to think too much. Do these go together? And just get as close to that as possible. Is that realistically possible?
Yes, for sure that is. And it's sort of, again, it goes back to, you have to do a little legwork if you're trying to, like redesign your style or redefine your style or whatever that is. But there is a way to break it down and make it easy. And it's kind of like a uniform look, or a personal, what I like to call style formulas. So a style formula, for a woman could be a blazer, a tank top, and a skinny jean. Now, if you have multiples of those in your closet, it's like, okay, I'm going to do the blazer, the jacket, the skinny, the skinny jean. Or, there was a whole hoopla on TikTok trend, women worrying about, because one of those millennials said, skinny jeans are out. And everyone was freaking out. It's like, but that's one of my things. That's one of my things. It's like, no. That is still your thing. Don't listen to the 12-year-olds tell us as 50-year-old women what we should wear. They're classics now, ladies. So don't worry about that. But there is a sense of that, having these certain formulas that you can go to again and again and again. And it is like the Ranimals. It is, for you, depending on where you're going, it's a certain particular kind of trouser and a certain, whether it's a polo and a blazer, or it's a button-down shirt and a slack and a sneaker, whatever those formulas are, those are the kinds of things that you can build upon and recreate looks that you always are going to know look good on you, because it's sort of the same shape pieces, just different. Maybe it's a different fabric, or maybe it's the same fabric in a different color. There's nothing wrong. You find, I just was working with a client, and it was actually a man, and we found this pair of jeans on him, and he always had this sort of dad look about him. And I was like, okay, we need to change that. We need to change the shape of it. And he put it on, and we bought him the jeans in like 5 colors, because it was like a higher end jeans, so it came in multiple colors. And that's the thing. So that's part of his formula. It's this certain jean that looks great on him. So same thing for, women. If there's a certain cami that looks good, which is a camisole, a certain top that looks good on her, or a certain jean or a certain slack, buy more of that. And then they'll all kind of mix and match with each other, right? And you also want to build on this when we talk about building this closet and this wardrobe and how does it all work together. You really want to build on a foundation of, when I say basics, not only basics in the shapes, but also basic like neutral colors. You want to have like whatever those are to you, whether it's black or navy or camel or oatmeal, so that there are these foundation pieces that you can add in and everything kind of works together. When I go in my closet, I have a lot of neutral pieces. I have a lot of blacks. I have a lot of whites. I have some navies and some camels. And then I have certain pops of color that look good on me that change it all up. But it all works together because it's all in the same family. And that's kind of how you can get that garanimally thing, you know, having those basic colors, having the pieces that work right for your body type, having the know-how to be able to say, okay, this is, these are the pieces that work together well on my body, and then just kind of put it on repeat.
Well, that you're singing my tune right there. Because that right there, you know, give someone like me hope. You find that one thing that looks good,
right,
and, you know, just kind of duplicate it with a little bit of different, you know, different color, different.
Right.
So that makes complete sense.
Yeah. And for men, it's a little bit easier because there's less choices. You know, it's a sweater, it's a you know, it's a shirt, it's a polo, it's a t-shirt, whatever it is. For women, there's a lot more choices, so it may take a little bit longer to find your way with that. But it is, it just takes a second to find what it is, and then go forward with it.
Well, one thing that I truly appreciate about you, and you know, you have I think a heightened sense of even though you work with a lot of, you know, Hollywood stars, movies, TVs, and things like that, you're able to translate that into things that are, you know, accessible to real people. And because I think a lot of people say, you know, well, Dina, you do all the styling for TV people, but that's not me. I don't have that TV star body, but you have a very, very keen sense for being able to translate that. And I think part of it is probably because you do help dress a lot of real people that happen to be on TV, not just TV stars. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that has you know, influenced the way that you do help real people or regular people?
Yeah. So with the shows that I'm on, I do a lot of work on game shows. So I have, you know, there's one host on a game show, right? But then I'm dressing 1,000 contestants or whatever that is. I would like 100 contestants, whatever that is, thousands over the years. And so I've literally dressed, you know, all sizes, shapes, and colors and ages and varieties of people from all walks of life, people with nothing and people with lots. And I have to dress them in a way that when they go out on stage, they feel like themselves. They don't feel like they're in a costume. And I have literally, you know, I'll get a room full of 20 people in 1 hour to dress them off for, you know, camera ready. And I have to kind of get them very quickly. And one of the ways I'm able to do that, you know, I literally kind of practice what I preach in that respect. I have a room full of clothes. And I have a lot of basics, you know, racks of pants and skirts and for men and women and tops, jackets. And I always have a foundation of basics and all the different, you know, sizes, shapes, and colors. And then I add in like these personality pieces. You know, if somebody's like really loves color, or they really love print, or they hate color and they hate print and they want it to be all, you know, dark or whatever. That's the way that, you know, people can do that in their real life. I work with so many people and I have to do it so quickly that, I think once they see it, and that's why I really want to help people in the kind of out in the real world. It really only takes putting something on that looks amazing. What does it take? 5 minutes? You know, it's just a matter of knowing what works for you. So I have, you know, over the years of working with all these people, gained the ability to assess people very quickly and go, okay, let's try this. And they say, oh no, I can't, you know, women, I love to put belts on women. Women are like, oh no, I could never wear a belt. I'm like, no, you should just try it. And they'll fight me on it. And I'll be like, then they'll come out and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to go get belts. I finally look like I have a waist. Or, oh my gosh, I would never wear this color. I would never think to do that. Now I'm going to go do it. It's because, again, we go back to I'm not putting them in a box, you know, And it's just trying, it's just really trying things on and looking at things in a different way.
Well, it just must be tremendously satisfying to be able to impact someone's life and outlook and confidence in a matter of moments with fabric. That to me is magical.
Yeah, I love it. And that is one of the things, and that's really one of the things why I really want to work with, continue my TV work, but work with more real people, because I know how quickly a transformation can happen. And I know what happens when someone puts something on that makes them feel good about themselves. I can't stuff somebody in something that they're going to go out on stage and not feel like themselves, or be tugging at their clothes, or feel awkward, or feel like, oh, I can't pull this off. But what happens is, so I have to very quickly understand who they are as a person and how far they're willing to go with this. But then, I just always say to them, please just trust me and let's just try this. And I swear to you, I will not let you go out there not feeling good, because then they're going to be thinking about that. They're not going to be thinking about what they're doing. And that's not good for anybody. And the reaction I get when they try something, they're like, okay, I said, just try it on, please, and they come out and I say, okay, now look at yourself in the mirror. And they're like, oh, this is amazing. I feel great. I never knew I could wear something like this, or I never thought to put those kinds of things together, and I don't try to take people so far away from who they are and what they are. Lots of times in television, it's like, there's the teachers, or there's, you kind of have like a pigeonholed view of things as you're thinking about them. You're a doctor, or you're this. So you kind of think, okay, the doctor's got to be a little bit more dressed up. So you're not really taking them out of their comfort zone. They're kind of already in their comfort zone. I'm just maybe zhuzhing it up a little bit and giving it a little fresher style. Maybe they love to wear jeans all the time, but they're not wearing the right one that works for their body, or they're wearing one that's just not current. Certain things you have to just keep current in your closet, not because you want to be on trend. You just don't want to look dated, and there's a fine line, not a fine line, but there's just certain things that you have to keep up with that will keep you looking like you're from this century, this decade, not, the decade you went to college or something like that, And I get such joy out of tiny little tweaks for people that they can really go home on. And I always say, do this in your life. And they're like, oh, okay. Sometimes I'll work with and thinking about the last show I did, there was this guy I was working with, and he kept pulling his shirt, like his sweater down. And I'm like, and it was like a nervous tick, and I said, no, you have to understand it goes here. And I show him, you have to see it in the mirror, because you're always going to go back to your old ways. But once he saw, I said, this is where your line is. This is where everything should kind of stop and hit you. And he saw, and he got it, Same thing for women. It's like all of a sudden they see themselves in a certain shape that they had never worn before. They're like, oh, I see, I may be this, but I don't have to wear a sack to try to cover myself up. I think people should show their, form and show their body, and not try to hide behind their clothes, but really use clothes to accentuate and bring out the best in themselves. And when we do that, people feel great.
Well, and I think that right there is the key. And I think that there really is the source of the what makes what you do so magical is you don't just make people look great. You make them feel great. And that is just a remarkable gift. So I have to ask you, what is it that led you to do what that you do? What is it that kind of fuels your passion for this? So I guess multi-part question. What led you into getting involved with dressing? The TV stars and getting involved with that, but then also what drives your passion to work with regular folks that can benefit tremendously from your knowledge and experience.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, I didn't know I was going to end up doing what I did. You know, I went to school back east. I'm from Jersey. I'm from the East Coast. I don't know anybody in television. I never had thoughts that, oh, I want to work in television. It just wasn't part of my thing. But I liked clothes. When I was younger, I didn't look like all the other girls. And you know what, I was a little more shapely, and they were all wearing these, I'm going to date myself, but like Candies shoes and like skinny jeans. I can't think it was Jordache or whatever. And none of that looked right on me. And so I found something that worked for me that wasn't like what everybody else was wearing. And I stood out a little bit. I was just like, well, this looks good on me. I'm just going to wear this. And it kind of fueled my passion for, style, if you will. And so I thought I really wanted to own a clothing store. And I always wanted to come out to California, just because I love the beach. I love the Jersey Shore. I thought my whole life would be like living at the beach, which is not living in Los Angeles if you've ever been here. But I kind of ended up here because I worked in wholesale. So then I, worked in wholesale. I worked in retail. I went back to school to get a merchandising degree because, again, I thought I was going to, go in a store. And when I was out here looking for work, I came across a company that set up wardrobe trade outs for television. And what that looked like back in the day was, I would get a show and they would need clothes. And the woman hired me because I came from the East Coast working in the garment industry. I know all these manufacturers. And they would make a deal where we would provide, the manufacturer would provide clothing for the show in exchange for credit at the end of the program. So it used to say, so-and-so's wardrobe, host wardrobe provided by blah, blah, blah. And it was at that moment when I was working there that I was like, oh, wow, this looks really fun. And I was working with a lot, the stylists. And one of the women that I worked with at this company that we set up these trade outs said, you know what? She also had the same background as me and was setting up these trade outs, but we both had, her parents owned a store in Chicago, high-end store in Chicago for years, had the same sort of fashion sense and said, you know what? The next show that comes in, we're going to pitch and we're going to pitch it that we want to dress them and do the trade outs. And that's what we did. And that's kind of how I ended up in television. And, my career has just kind of grown over the years, and it's been great and amazing. And I love it. And like I say, I kind of ended up there out of not exactly knowing where I was going to be. I didn't even know people dress people. I'm like, who thinks about that back east? Nobody, that you dress people for a living. Like, what? They don't show up in their own clothes? I never even thought about it. And then, once I started doing that, again, I'm working with all of these sort of real people. I feel like those are really the people that could use the help and could use the advice and could use a little guidance. And it's not rocket science what I do, and it's not brain surgery, but it does change people's lives because they end up feeling better about themselves. And I always say, when you look better, you feel better. When you look in the mirror and you're having a good day, you think, oh, I feel good. And all of a sudden, your attitude is just better about everything that day. And when you feel, schlubby and crummy, you kind of take that through your day also. And I really love to see that transformation. And lots of people, it's not all that hard to get there. It's just, you kind of fall back and trust, or just, here's the advice, just go try it. And they do. And it really can be life-changing, and I love that part of it.
Well, yeah, and I can imagine, this really is, and not that it replaces it, health or nutrition or anything like this, but, frankly, it's probably the quickest way to change your outlook and the way that you feel and your confidence. Yeah. In a matter of, it's not weeks, not months, but, a day, an hour. If you just know how to do that. And that's the one thing that, you're truly gifted at is to being able to explain and show people how they can do that. How can people find out more about Dina Cerchione and get involved or follow you? Because I know you have a lot of great content and you give people a lot of great tips out there. So what's the best way for them to be able to follow you?
So on Instagram, I'm at DMC Styles, Dina Cerchione, so DMC Styles, and Facebook also on at DMC Styles. And my website is dmcstyles.com. And you can, I try to put out content on Instagram regularly. And I am working on starting a YouTube channel. So anything, updates and things like that, you'll be able to find via those social channels or my website. And I'll be offering an online program as well through my website. I'm just updating that now. So probably the best way would be my social channels.
Well, fantastic. We'll put the links to those on the show post. Dina, I got to thank you for coming on today and sharing this information because, it's I think a lot of people felt that being able to improve themselves through fashion, through style, was just, beyond their reach. And you've definitely put it well within the reach of the regular person. So definitely thank you for coming out and sharing that.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
All right, folks, there you have it. Definitely check out Dina's work and check out the things that she shares, dmcstyles.com. We'll have that link along with her, how to connect with her on social media as well. Until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today.